What's up, guys? I want to do a quick video on what everybody's been talking about recently, which is mortgage interest rates, the housing market, how they're tied together, what the long-term forecast is, and what does this really mean, and how did we even get here? And I want to start with how we got here. So we were on the brink of an economic collapse, at least that's what they told us, right? And in order to stir up movement in the economy, they made money basically free to borrow and then lend back out in order to create, the economic engine, which is our economy in 2008. And then we went through a long period of time where they kept interest rates at or close to zero. Whereas in the longer term, big picture, healthy economy, rates from the Federal Reserve were closer to 5.5%. And during that time, mortgage interest rates dropped down to 3%. And there's not a direct correlation between the Federal Reserve rate and the interest rate that you're going to get for a mortgage. And the best way that I can explain that is to understand that when you borrow money from a mortgage lender, they're going to sell that mortgage as a mortgage-backed security to somebody who wants to invest money and get a return on their investment. So you're buying a house, you're paying 7% interest rate today, and over time, that's going to pay back more than what you borrowed. You buy a $500,000 house. If you ever looked at one of those little sheets they stick in that huge stack of paperwork you get when you buy a home, it says when this is all said and done, you're going to pay way, 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 way more than $500,000. And that's how the lender and ultimately the investor makes money, is by you making all those payments. Now, most people don't finish their mortgage. They don't pay the 30 years. That's why the interest is front loaded. And in order for them to make money, you have to make a certain amount of mortgages, and they sort of add, subtract, and divide and figure out how much money they're going to get back on this investment. You buy a $500,000 house, you live there for 10 years. Over the 10 years, you've paid, maybe $100,000 in interest, and that's how much they're going to make off of their $500,000 loan. So that's a long explanation, but it sort of explains why it's not a direct correlation. So during this long period of low interest rates, what happened was people continued to buy what they could afford. And as interest rates went down, they could afford more and more. And as they were buying at the top of their, affordability, getting the most bang for their buck, it created a very strong demand for houses. And it drove the price of houses up faster than what they would have gone up had there been a simple, pay cash for a Snickers bar type of a situation, right? If you can buy a Snickers bar and pay 1 cent a month, it's probably a stupid analogy, but let's use a car as an example, right? If you could buy a car for 1 cent a month, you're going to buy like a Lamborghini, or, use like $100 a month. But if you had to pay cash for the Lamborghini and pay $500,000 for it, you're going to have a different opinion on how much you're willing to pay. But at the end of the day, $100 a month is $100 a month. Buy as much as you possibly can. Instead of buying a Toyota Camry, why not buy a Lamborghini? And that's a sort of inflated analogy here, but that's essentially what was happening. I was watching people buy waterfront houses, big, nice waterfront houses, for $3,000 a month. Now you can barely buy a split foyer in the Ranch Club for $3,000 a month. So if you can afford $3,000 a month 4 years ago, what are you going to do? I'm going to buy a waterfront house, of course. And that's what drove the prices of the houses up. So what happened is the prices stayed, the mortgages stayed so low for so long, ramped up they ramped up so that house eventually went from $400,000 to $500,000 to $600,000 to $800,000 to $1 million, which is what it would probably sell for today. And because interest rates went up, it's like the house price went like this, but then interest rates went like this. So the cost went like this. Because if interest rates stayed at 3%, the cost of that house would have just gone up. But because not only did house prices shoot up, interest rates shot up, the cost to you every month, everything went crazy. And that's why we're in the situation we're in, is because house prices were inflated because of low interest rates. So there's another huge factor in all this, and that is the number of, and it's ultimately supply and demand, the number of affordable houses that are available has not increased or stayed with the population increase. There's simply more people that want to own a home and the same amount of houses because they haven't been keeping up. And if you look at the charts for the population growth and the median home for sale on the market that's come to market, they haven't kept up with each other. So now you have house prices, affordability that's gone off the charts, and then at the same time, there's no supply. So you have the same amount of houses, more people that want them, drives prices up. And then you have the cost of the mortgage, which has gone off the charts. And now what you have is a situation where most people cannot afford the average home in America. The median home, the median income does not buy the median home anymore. And this is the first time we've been in that situation in all of our lifetimes. Like, to give you some kind of comparison, without including the mortgage interest rates, just the simple cost of a house as a comparison to what the average median income is, has more than doubled. So in 1967, the average home was 3.3 times the median income. Now it's over 7 times the median income. So just as a apples to apples comparison, the apples cost twice as much as they used to. So that gives you a little bit of history. Let's talk about today and the mortgage interest rates and how they're factored. So because mortgages are sold as an investment product, it's basically the higher the demand, the lower the return on your investment as an investor, and then that lowers interest rates. But when there's lower demand, in order to make it attractive, they have to raise the interest rate so that your return on your investment's higher in order to get you to buy it. If nobody wants to buy a car, the price of it goes down. But as an investment, it's the opposite. You have to kind of think about that for a second to see how that works. But the factors that go into that are future inflation, how well the economy's doing, a lot of different things. And it's not a direct correlation to the Federal Reserve rate. So the unfortunate news is, as inflation goes up and or as the economy continues to improve, interest rates are going to continue to hold at this 7%, could even potentially go higher. And the only thing that's going to make that better is if the economy collapses or goes down, so there's really no good solution here. Like, same thing for house prices. In order for house prices to go down to a significant amount that would allow for you to see a significant difference, like 20%, there'd have to be some sort of a huge collapse for demand of housing. Like, people can't afford them anymore because everybody lost their job, or there was a flood of new houses on the market, which isn't going to happen. So there would have to be an economic catastrophe taking place in order for house prices to go down significantly. In that situation, who cares? We're all not buying houses because we're all broke. And in order for house prices to get on 20%, the impact on our economy would be immense. Like, look what happened in 2008 when the house prices went down so far. It caused a huge catastrophe across the economy. So there's no really good answer here. The only thing that I know of that would truly soften this situation, it's not going to happen, by the way, would be for the U.S. government or local, state and county and city governments to create a situation where they were to incentivize builders to build low cost, and by low cost, I'm going to say 400,000 average size houses for people to buy. One of the biggest factors in that is the cost of land, but then there's also all the stuff that goes with building houses in a neighborhood. Nowadays, they want sewer systems, they want open space, they want wastewater management, they want traffic impact studies, they want, all these different sort of rules and regulations on how it's done. And then there's also the cost of goods to build the house, and then the cost of labor. Like, people want to kick out all of the the low cost, non-American labor that's building houses and pay high wages to American workers who are not going to be able to put a 2,500 square foot structure in place for a low amount of money. So there's really not an easy solution to this problem. As you can see, I've kind of gone around and around, and I'm just being really straightforward with my understanding of things. I could be wrong about some of this, but I've done a lot of studying on it, and my prediction is that rates are going to continue to stay high and house prices are going to continue to stay high. There's going to be a stagnant housing market for the long term because there's over 60% of homeowners that have a mortgage that are 4% or under. So to sell your house with a 4% interest rate and then take on a new mortgage at 7%, with the way that house prices have gone up, the step is so high that it disincentivizes people to do that. So people who want to move choose not to move, and the people that have to move are still going to move. But that creates a stressful situation because a lot of the home sellers are selling out of desperation, and a lot of home buyers are buying in a very stretched out financial situation. So the smiles and the high fives that we had at the settlement table is not the same as it used to be. People are stressed. Home sellers are stressed a lot of times because they're buying. Home buyers are stressed. Like, it doesn't feel great to be in this real estate economy. But that's the state of things. If we're going to talk about what the future holds, it's going to be no new construction for affordable houses is coming, except for townhouses, condominiums, and apartment complexes, and people turning their houses into rentals, and then the big investment firms buying up rentals. So our future is going to be a lot of people that are long-term renters. It's not a good situation. I don't have any silver lining in all this, to be honest with you. The only silver lining is, let's zoom all the way out, okay? Human beings that live in America in 2025 can still work very hard and afford a structure that provides air conditioning, refrigerated food, hot water, and a soft place to sleep for a family. Might not be, if you compare it to what your parents had, it's not the same. But when you compare it to your great-great-grandparents, you guys are doing great. So there's the silver lining. I found it. Thanks for watching.